This episode of Lords of the Storm is brought to you by our sponsors over at Patreon, where you, yes you, can also support the show. Just head over to patreon.com/Lords of the Storm to become a patron today.
Heroes, gather tribute and earn my favor. Say, are you ready to begin?
What is up, everyone, and welcome to episode 186 of Lords of the Storm, the Heroes of the Storm podcast. Scott. My name is Greg Gizmozord Parker. And I'm joined tonight, of course, by the Zord Lords themselves, Mr. Kevin Multizord Ellis and Ryan TBK Zord Reader. And on this week's episode, big news around the Blizzard world as they drop a bombshell on us a few hours ago. The BlizzCon schedule is out, discussion on the new Team League. Of course, we hit the HGC, and everyone's favorite evil fairy dragon returns in this week's Hero of the Week. But first, let's see how the other guys are doing this evening. Multi, how are you doing? What have you been up to?
I've been doing pretty well. I've been trying to squeeze in some Hearthstone, some WoW, some Heroes of the Storm, getting my games in where I can. Life's been a little bit busy and crazy lately. I think that's actually kind of true for all of us, but yeah, no, I've been having a good time for sure. The at least work is starting to maybe slow down, maybe a hair, maybe just for now. So there's that. But yeah, no, I've been enjoying the event for sure. I always like Halloween-themed stuff, and I'm looking forward to it coming to Hearthstone and some other places, too, pretty soon here. So, yeah, doing well.
Excellent. Have you gotten anything cool from the event yet?
No, not yet. So I'm definitely needing to get in there. My problem is I'm trying to focus so much on doing the quests that I'm not going through my usual cycle of, like, only playing the heroes that are about to level so I can get as many free-to-play chests in as possible. So it's kind of weird in that sense that, like, there's these two things that I want to work on, and they're kind of competing with each other some. So I've sorted my collection based on who's closest to leveling, and my plan is to try to reason through it as best as I can. You know, if it's a quest where, like, you're just capturing watchtowers or something, then who cares who you do it on? But some are like, do X amount of damage, spell damage in winning games, etc. So you kind of have to be like, okay, well, who's my next highest to level mage, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm finding it interesting in that way. I mean, it's really varying my play a little bit there, but yeah, no. If we have any time for after show games today, let's let me maybe cap a watchtower or two, because I DC'd in the game where I had definitely finished it, and then I fully, like, I think my GPU crashed or something. It was pretty bad. Tried to get back in, and the game was over by then. So I need to get it, man.
Yeah, it's funny, like in my games today, like we can end and there's somebody's like, oh, don't end yet, I need one more tower,
yeah.
I'm gonna have to win another game. It's like, well,
I could see that actually, but
this game isn't like so much in our favor where we want to take that chance. Sorry. But yeah, it's been interesting, a fun event. TBK, what have you been up to and how have you been?
It is funny you mentioned that, because we did talk about that a little bit last week of quests altering play style, and I have certainly seen that happen.
Oh yeah,
not usually for the good, and the way people are doing stuff to get the quests done. So that was definitely my reservation initially when I saw these type of quests. So it'll be interesting to see what the data is and if they end up doubling down or doing this again. I'm done with 2, and I'm almost done. 2 branches. I'm almost done with a 3rd one. I'm currently working on the Alexstrasza one, the XP soak, 3rd part of it, I believe, and then I've got the White Mane quest to do afterwards.
So I haven't done Alexstrasza yet. You're saying there's an experience soaking quest?
Yes, 30,000
At
XP.
playing as Alexstrasza?
No.
No, just
Okay, I was
anybody.
like,
Yeah.
that's
It's the Alexstrasza branch.
gotcha.
Well, that's an easy one that's one where you just pick anybody, so that's cool.
Yeah.
I like those. I honestly like the ones where maybe there's something you need to think about, but it doesn't necessarily matter what role you're doing. Although, as I said last week, I do like the fact that this is going to cause some people who maybe just main a particular role or something like that to branch out and diversify a little bit. But at the same time, the ones where it's kind of more neutral and you can just pick who you want have been pretty good too.
Yeah, but I've been playing a lot of that. I've been playing quite a bit of Team League. I'm 14 or 15 games in now.
Nice.
So it's been a journey because I've been the last probably 3 seasons now. I've been slowly working on pulling my Team League out of the dumpster because I used to, as many people did, use them just for the 10 games to get the mount. A lot of times in the past, when we all had more time, we hosted like Team League nights. And those were just kind of like, let's just jump in. Who cares if we win or lose? We just need 10 games so we can get the mounts. Turns out when you don't care, you eventually fall into like mid-silver.
Yeah.
And so I've been working really hard the last few seasons, and I actually placed plat 3.5 this season, and I'm almost plat 2 now.
Nice.
So I'm working my way back up.
Now, are you running with people or are you getting in there solo?
Both.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, both. It's been a lot of fun. We're actually going to talk a little bit about Team League later, but I'm very much enjoying the flexibility right now.
Interesting. Well, myself, first off, apologies for missing last week after coming back after missing like 3 weeks. I had a work emergency, so that's my bad. But this week I have still been playing some WoW, which has been really interesting for me because, again, this is the first expansion I haven't been a hardcore raider, which I couldn't even if I wanted to at this point. So it's been a very different expansion for me, but I'm enjoying it. And Heroes of the Storm, Kerrigan is bae again. We reconnected, and I'm loving her. And I don't want to go into a full discussion about this questline stuff because I know you guys talked about this last week. I just want to give my opinions on it because I've seen a lot of discussions on it about, potentially looking at like a battle pass type thing for Fortnite and this stuff about altering gameplay, because that is one very clear thing when quests first came out. They said they did not want to do.
Right.
Was to give you quests that altered the style of gameplay. So it's interesting that there are a few of those, which I don't think would be as bad if you didn't have to finish a quest to unlock the next quest.
That's kind of true.
I think that's my biggest issue with it. I wish you could select like, the character
and do any one of the 4.
Yes, they're just all unlocked. That way you can work on multiples at the same time, just like daily quests. So I think that would help with that stuff a little bit. But overall, I think it's pretty neat and could be potentially really good with a little bit of tweaking if they are looking at doing something like a battle pass, which I think could work great in this game.
I think that's a good idea, Greg. I think that having the multiple available and not like locking them behind, I could probably it would make me feel a little better about, I don't have to like super focus on it. I just know I'm contributing to it.
Right.
And I know I'm contributing a little more if I'm playing a certain character that's strong in one of those areas.
Right. And you could tailor the entire set to kind of fit a role or something like that. You could have the caster one be, okay, we need you to do X amount of spell damage in winning games, XP soak, maybe capturing watchtowers or something. It's all things you could just do as Jaina or Li Ming or somebody, So yeah, they could go that route. I think that'd be interesting. And yeah, I'm with you, Gizmo, in saying that like I'm definitely concerned with quests that affect your play, but if it's an event like this, I'm more okay with it than if they actually like cycle that into either the regular quest line or something like a battle pass. Yeah. Because then you're getting into, all right, well, this is kind of weird. This is a permanent thing, at least for me.
Yeah, so those were just my my few opinions on it. I'm
Yeah,
working to get this stuff done. I don't know. I think we got like 12 days left after today. I don't
Not
know
a
if I'm gonna
lot,
make it, but
yeah.
I'm gonna
That's
try.
the thing.
Yeah,
I don't know why they
two-ish weeks.
I don't know why they cut it off so early. Like it's the Halloween event and it cuts off so much before Halloween itself.
Yeah.
So
I think that will kind of play into a little bit of the speculation we're going to talk about here shortly too.
Because I got to get my tombstone mount. But
Yes.
without further ado, let's go ahead and hop on in to the news. First up, a couple of hours ago, we got this announcement. A pretty big announcement.
Bombshell.
Trending on Twitter. Like it's a big deal not only in Blizzard but in the gaming and tech community. Mike Morhaime is stepping down as the president of Blizzard Entertainment, and J. Allen Brack is filling that role. So that's some pretty big news. Mike Morhaime has been there forever. He's a co-founder.
27 years.
Yeah, of Blizzard. And he's been, I don't know how long he had been president, but a really long time. I think it's, he's been a pretty important guy just at Blizzard and in gaming in general. Really cool guy. And yeah, he's stepping down. He's still going to be filling an advisement role, but it's interesting, and I was not expecting that at all.
Oh no,
especially this close to BlizzCon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they have to be getting Jay, again, can I just call him Jay for short? Because I'm going to. Ready for, really probably delivering the keynote speech at BlizzCon. But Gizmo, you shouldn't have been so surprised by this because we got a presidential alert here in the States on our phones earlier that let you know that this was happening. That's what that was all about.
It is true.
It is true.
Yeah. That is a fact.
I do want to read, so there's been a bunch of tweets and stuff, congratulating Mike and, saying, we'll miss you. Thank you for all you've done. I do want to read my favorite tweet that I came across that he himself liked from Matt Adkins. It says, with so many celebrity deaths in recent years, when I saw that Mike Morhaime is trending on Twitter while skimming through, I immediately thought he died. I'm really glad. I'm really glad you aren't dead, Mike. Please open BlizzCon forever. Thanks.
And then he liked it.
Yeah.
You have to, as him, you have to see that and crack up a little bit for sure. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, but it's I don't know. For me, he's been the face of Blizzard since I have been playing Blizzard games, and Multi. I know you and I had the chance of meeting him 2 years ago at BlizzCon.
Yep.
Whenever the pre-party was on his birthday, and I am not a person that, like, if I see someone I recognize, I look up to, someone famous, something like that, I don't like approaching them to ask for pictures, anything like that.
We were both really hesitant at that
We were,
one.
but at the same time, it's like, this is a big enough deal. Like, I personally, again, he is the face of the company that I would not be doing what I'm doing today. My life would be drastically different if I never got involved in Blizzard games.
Yeah, I've been playing Blizzard games now for probably 20 years, which is coming up on 2/3 of my life. So like, yeah, and I kind of wanted to, when we went up to him, I wanted to convey that somehow and be like, hey man, just thanks for all the effort you guys put into really like shaping the way I see things like the fantasy genre and sci-fi and changing my life as a kid, even to this day, and all this. And so I went up to him, and you might remember, you said something kind of good about like, hey, we really appreciate as the community you guys reaching out and blah blah. You had a pretty good spiel, but I got up there and I was like, it was good to meet you. That was it. So that was awkward.
Yeah.
But whatever, it's all good. But no, I'm excited though. Honestly, like. I don't know as much about Jay as perhaps I should, although they talk in here about his 12 years in leadership of World of Warcraft. So, and then there's also in the release that they had here, a message from Jay Allenbrack there as well, kind of talking about a bit of the transition and that sort of thing. And so yeah, I'm excited though, because when you get new blood in a position as high as this, they can honestly have like different directional changes for the entire company that could shape, honestly, perhaps even the entire gaming industry even more. So if I could take a quick moment to address the new president here really quickly and just say that, Jay, if I can call you Jay, can I call you Jay? I'm going to call you Jay. Okay. I really want Blizzard Entertainment to dominate the entire industry in every category across the board. I'm not talking Activision Blizzard. I'm just talking Blizzard Entertainment. I want you to release a game of every genre and completely destroy all of your competition and mop the floor with them in every way. And then put all of the characters in all these different worlds in Heroes of the Storm, which you support forever. Okay. Then that's all I had to say.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
TBK, has this had any impact on you? Do you have any thoughts? Are you deeply upset at your core? Are you going to be okay? How are you feeling?
It definitely hit me when I was just, and this was just right after I finished work. I was just scrolling through Twitter and I was just like, wait a second, what's this big long Blizzard what is it? What? It just seems so out of the blue. And like, 4 weeks before BlizzCon, of which he's delivered the opening address at, as far as I know, every single one of them.
Or at least most of them. One. He's been involved in them, but I know that like Chris Metzen used to lead a lot of the opening addresses and stuff. So
maybe.
But yeah,
I'd have to go back in my BlizzCon history. But he's been an integral part. 27 years at the company, one of the co-founders. Like this is definitely, and I've seen it kind of going around Twitter, a new world, I guess. Especially when someone that influential takes that big of a step back. And it says he's going to be an advisor, but more than likely, this is him taking a much deserved retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
While he's still young, while he can still really enjoy it. He's put a lot of hard work and a lot of effort into building Blizzard up from nothing, essentially, and into this gaming powerhouse that it is now. And they've created so many games that I absolutely love, from Diablo 2 to Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, Heroes, World of Warcraft. A lot of my big games growing up were Blizzard games. And so you can't help but feel a little nostalgic and a little sad at the same time, because it is kind of new era now. And from what all I've read, and I've never met Jay. I met Mike one time, just briefly at BlizzCon. He's a really nice guy, but it was BlizzCon, so like
right,
just
yeah,
crazy busy.
You get 2 seconds with the guy.
Yeah, you get 2 seconds with him. I haven't met Jay before, but from what I've been reading and stuff, it seems like he is very much, at least in the same mold, from a personality and just vision standpoint, I guess, that Mike is. And so I think it'll be really good. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if we see a shift in direction, if potentially, and we're going to be talking about this next, but BlizzCon's schedule was released.
Right.
And it'll be interesting to see how the games from this point forward are kind of shaped, because when you're that high on the totem pole, you will have an impact on everything that goes on underneath, from a high level, at least. And so, and he even said in his message that Blizzard is making more games now and has more games in development now than they've ever had at any point in their history.
Oh, I believe that.
Oh, that gets me excited.
Yes. Yeah. And that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. And so
it's kind of what I was alluding to.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. But I assume he probably will deliver the opening keynote address for BlizzCon this time, and potentially that's maybe why it happened, is they wanted to make the transition before BlizzCon happened. So
people aren't surprised at BlizzCon.
Yeah, so it's not just kind of like a massive what type thing, because in some ways that could really put a damper on the whole convention in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
If you opened with the news of, hey, I'm Mike Morhaime, do good and play games with each other, and
this is a great year in esports.
That could be a little bit of a downer. So in that sense, it does make a lot of sense why they would do it now and not wait.
Because when these things happen, there are always some doomsayers, and there just is every time anything happens on the internet, I swear, at this point. But I know one of our buddies we have a running chat just among some of our local Zord friends. One of our buddies, Swift Zord, was saying, like, I wonder if, the fact that Azeroth is damaged and bleeding out is really just a cry for help from Blizzard, and maybe they're doing the same thing. And I was cracking up. I was like, yeah, that would be a twist at the plot of the end of Battle for Azeroth, is the planet actually bleeds out and dies, and so does the company. So that would be surprising. But no,
games mirror real life.
Yeah, right. I don't think any of that's gonna happen, of course. I will say though, so like with someone this high up coming in, he could literally get in here and be like, all right, well, change of plans. Our esports divisions now, like for each different esport that we run, can now actually start doing real crowdfunding for the prize pools and blah, blah, blah. Like we could see massive, like sweeping company-wide changes with something like this that could keep Blizzard competitive with everyone else.
It's totally possible. So we're just going to have to kind of keep our eyes on things in the coming days. And like I said, I'm really interested to see how BlizzCon plays out and how Jay sets the tone for his tenure going forward.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I hope we get to see Elite Torn Chieftain play at BlizzCon again at some point.
Is that your band call? The main band?
No. They opened up for Metallica.
Oh, well,
but that's Samwise Didier, Mike Morhaime. I can't remember who else is in their band. It's pretty good. Mike Morhaime plays the bass. It's pretty good at it.
Pretty good.
But yes, so best wishes to Jay going forward, and best wishes to Mike, and enjoy retirement. I can't even imagine what it's like going from being the president of a huge company for a while and now just being like waking up the next morning.
Just playing the games.
What do I do today? Yeah.
He says on there, your fellow Blizzard gamers see you on Battle.net. Like he's gonna hop in WoW. He actually what he found out was his eye level was starting to drop a little bit compared to the rest of his guild, and he's just like, I gotta quit my job and just take up WoW full time. I think that's what he's doing.
He kept getting the same Azerite piece and needed more time to grind so he could get a different piece.
That's it, yeah. He's waiting for it. No, that's it. He's actually got pretty good gear. He's just waiting for it to all Titan Forge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so moving on here, BlizzCon. Some more BlizzCon news. We do have the schedule for BlizzCon coming out, and there's going to be 3 Heroes of the Storm panels, the first of which is going to be at 6:30 on the Mythic main stage, which is going to be the Heroes of the Storm What's Next, followed by the Deep Dive on Saturday at noon on the Mythic stage, and then the Artists at Work bringing Heroes to life on the Epic stage at 4:45. So 3 panels. We do have the Deep Dive, of course, and the What's Next. I do want to point this out. I know this isn't related to Heroes, but did you guys see what is the first What's Next on the main stage?
Sure did, and I think it's further proof.
No, don't. I don't.
Go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it.
No.
I'm not going to make a Diablo 4 mobile only joke this time.
Okay.
I was holding off.
Your talking privileges have been reinstated.
There's many more to come, but I was just going to let you say it. So,
yeah. Well,
what game is first?
It's Diablo,
Gizmo?
and I'm super stoked for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been the rumor the whole time. It's not super surprising, and usually the game that they have the what's next panel for directly after the opening ceremony usually is the big announcement type game for the year. So it's not super surprising.
Now,
I'm excited
question.
for all of it though.
I'm excited for all of it, but question. So if the first one is the most hype, are they in descending order from there? Like, is Overwatch the second next most hype, and Heroes of the Storm the last? I'm kind of worried about
They're
that.
saving the best for last.
Yeah.
You know how the saying goes?
Yeah, that could be it. That could be it. I don't know. Like, when I see that, though, I start to worry that, like, it's just going to be a couple heroes and not much more in terms of, like, major announcements other than a cinematic and some things. So
No,
a little worried about that.
They put it last because there's like an hour and 45-minute gap before the community night starts, and they're like, all right, this is going to go super long because we have so much stuff to go over.
They just wanted the most people to be able to get to it as possible, so it wasn't competing with a ton of other stuff.
It could be, although it overlaps with Carbot Live, and that is pulling Heroes fans into two different directions right there.
That was the Carbot Live it tugged at the heartstrings last year. It was a good one.
It was really cool. Yeah,
definitely one worth going back and watching with the ticket.
Oh yeah, you can go back, can't you?
Yeah, they've got the old ones now.
That's cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this leads us to how long has Mephisto been out now? 4 weeks.
This is week 4, I think.
Okay, so
yeah, because Hero of the Week was 2 weeks ago.
So we have. He's been out 4 weeks. We have not had an announcement, and BlizzCon is in 4 weeks.
And also note that as we kind of alluded to a little earlier in the show, the Fall of King's Crest event is ending sooner than the end of the month as well. Mm-hmm. Which the only reason I could see that happening, the only reason I could see that happening is if there is something else between now and BlizzCon. So I know that's what you're getting at. Are we getting another hero? Are we getting any other major stuff happening between now and then? Well, I still think yes.
I think the time frame technically still works out because normally, at least in the past, we've had one of the generic teasers Wednesday. You get a little more specific Thursday, and then usually Friday they do the big reveal, and then you have a PTR on Monday. We have not, as of this recording, gotten any teaser, any Wednesday teaser, which is odd, at least considering the last several cadence. Mm-hmm. But technically, from a time frame perspective, if PTR goes live on Monday, then the next week, Tuesday, live patch would line up with the end of the Fall of King's Crest event.
Right.
But I think for that to happen, we would have to have a PTR on Monday.
Yeah, and thus the announcement probably this Friday too. Now we have seen in the past, it's not as common, but just a drop, right? Like we're out of nowhere, boom, here's the hero. Not a lot of teasing, or even a day's worth of teasing potentially. So it is possible. I mean, again, if you guys are just listening to the show and don't know, we record Wednesday nights. So it's possible that the folks listening on Thursday or Friday have seen something. And then, the timing, you're right, would have to have a week's worth of PTR in there. And then, because if we go any later, let's say the PTR starts the next week, the 15th, and then the hero drops maybe like the 23rd, we're getting super close to, I mean, that's just a little over a week away from BlizzCon itself,
And it just seems like any hero that comes out, if it's 2 more weeks until a live hero, that seems like that hero will get such a tiny time in the spotlight before it's just crushed by all the BlizzCon stuff.
And so I think it's going to happen. Whether or not we get that tease this week and PTR starts next week, or if it's the week after. What I think, though, is that whatever we get is going to be a Brightwing, murky, like
generic.
Generic.
Not that either of those are generic. Brightwing is one of the coolest heroes in the game.
I mean, not like an existing specific person in one of those universes. Because I do agree with you, TBK. If what they wouldn't want to do is release a big name that people have been waiting for, and then that get covered up by BlizzCon. Not that they want any hero period to do that. I don't think that they are going to make us wait 8+ weeks between heroes at this point. That is a huge change.
That would be the longest heroes drought ever.
Yeah.
Like period.
By 2 weeks at least.
The big question I have is it possible that we will get a second rework patch?
Maybe.
It's not that big. Because reworks, while nice, are not like that insane from if we released a rework and then BlizzCon was 2 weeks later, that's not going to like destroy the hype around a rework like it would a new hero. And so it just kind of makes me wonder, will they have a filler patch where it is new content, some balance, and maybe a rework, but not a brand new hero, and then they just save 2 or 3 to announce at BlizzCon?
Well, if it's a balance patch that has reworks and such, I'm with you in thinking that it wouldn't be such a big rework patch that they also tie in either lore or a new skin set or new event, because I mean we just would be getting off of an event, and there's not a lot of time to run an event-based program between what would either be the 16th or the 23rd and Friday, November 2nd. So I don't see it being so big that there's like a new event or anything. Which is why, like, I think a one-off hero that doesn't really fit the mold of any theme that they're going for does make sense to me. And I'm looking back historically a little bit at the just list of heroes by release date here a little bit, and I'm finding kind of a little bit of the theme that we're talking about. So last year, before announcing Alexstrasza and Hanzo at BlizzCon, there actually was that Overwatch event with Volskaya, which kind of threw us at the time. Ana and Junkrat were announced as part of that. And so Junkrat would have been the hero right before that happened. So, but if I remember the timing right, although we found it strange that event got so close to BlizzCon itself, there wasn't like another event sandwiched in there so much. Although, well, there was Halloween, right? There would have been.
Yeah, they had Halloween last year. I think Halloween ran a lot later last year.
That's true. Well, still, all the same, Ana dropped apparently on 9/26/2017. So that must have already been rolling while Halloween was going. I'd have to go back and look at some of these timings of the events. But anyway, in the year previous, though, if we go up to the Varian Ragnaros year, 2016, we're looking at the kind of filler hero that fit the mold there was Samuro, which makes sense to me. He's a Warcraft 3 throwback that to this day is just kind of his own little standalone hero. I say standalone even though there's up to 3 to them. So he's never really standing alone, but you get it. So, and then prior to that, we had Cho'Gall, Lunara, and Greymane at the 2015 BlizzCon, and right before that was Artanis. So, actually, they squeezed in Morales and Artanis in the same month there, but followed up those 2 StarCraft heroes with no, StarCraft heroes at BlizzCon. So, honestly, like if they do have a hero between now and then, I'm going to be looking at it and saying, okay, if it's a, I don't know, something random, if it's like a StarCraft hero again, I'm going to take that as we shouldn't expect a StarCraft hero at BlizzCon, personally.
I think.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that if it's going to happen, we're going to see the teaser in the next day or 2.
Yeah.
If we don't see a teaser, I think if we, and like you said, this is Wednesday night, so all this conjecture, I mean, probably don't want to waste too much more time on it, because all this conjecture could be just out the window, potentially tomorrow. But
I wasn't wasting their time. I was given a great history lesson.
But yeah, technically, if nothing happens by Monday, I would guess there probably will not be another hero. And if they do a tease, we'll probably get it on the 16th. In a live patch. I'm guessing they're going to save a Diablo hero for BlizzCon, though.
Yeah.
To fit the theme.
It just seems like it would fit.
All right, so you're going along with my crazy prediction right now. Gizmo's crazy prediction time. Here we go. Diablo is going to be big at BlizzCon. We're going to get a Diablo character or 2 announced. And to go at the end of this little event that we're having, Orphea is going to be announced at the end of this event, because like leading with the comic of her hiding, like, oh, I should have done something to help, and so Raven's Crest is going to fall, or not.
She enters the Nexus as a combatant.
Yes, after this event has ended, she gets angry and boom, there she is.
She's such a good filler between now and BlizzCon too, because she doesn't tie in with anything else, but she does tie in with the lore.
But that would be a big thing. They wouldn't want it to overshadow her. But that's my crazy prediction.
Want her at BlizzCon though.
Crazy prediction.
Well, I just don't like your first original Nexus hero. I cannot see them just throwing her out for 2 weeks and then announcing like other big stuff and just completely washing over it.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't make any sense.
At the same time, though, if she's a BlizzCon announcement, I'm a little worried that the vast majority of people aren't going to know who the heck she is. Whereas if they're
going to play the cinematic first.
Yeah, true. So we'll get to see that.
And you're going to get to see her do like some awesome stuff with the sarcophagus and the purple beams.
Purple beams, one-shotting everyone.
The red eye eyes, and she's just going to be like, Deckard Cain, hold my sarcophagus. Yeah. And then she's going to do stuff, and then she's going to be like, thanks, Deckard Cain. And he's going to be like, oh, that was amazing.
Yep.
Writing down "Hold My Sarcophagus" is the title of the episode. Anyway,
all right, let's move on here for a discussion on ranked play, since the changes have gone live here. So I'm very intrigued with Team League being able to solo queue in Team League now. I have seen a lot of good things about it on social media. I have not jumped in yet, just because I've been working on this quest stuff while I can. But TBK, you've obviously been jumping in. How has it been panning out for you?
It's honestly been panning out really well. I've found a few random groups. I've been playing with a few people. I've done a few solo. I found a few with random people and actually played another one with them, because we played really well. And I think that's exactly what they're hoping this thing does. I think that's exactly what they're hoping, how it works. And it was really interesting because Hotslogs posted up some stats that were very interesting. And this is stats from the number of replays they've received specifically in the last 4 days. And so the first interesting thing is Quick Match is literally like 4 to 5 times more games than any other mode. So that just kind of shows you how popular that mode is. Right. And the whole discussion several months back of let's get rid of Quick Match really breaks down a lot when you look at these stats. People like Quick Match.
It could be a little skewed by the event too, though. People working on the quests. But even so, no, we've always thought the numbers were this heavy toward Quick Match.
Hero League, interestingly, is below Team League. Team League had over 3,000 more games replays submitted than Hero League did for that period of time. And so I just thought that was super, super interesting. The Team League has actually surpassed Hero League, because there's a lot of speculation of, oh, this isn't going to help and Hero League's still going to be the way to go and everything. But at least according to these initial numbers, Team League is looking like it is more popular than Hero League. And I've seen a lot of people solo queuing for Team League.
I saw Kyle Ferguson tweeted out. He's like, I keep trying to test how solo queue is for Team League, but I keep meeting people and playing with them.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Which is,
and I bet Blizzard's going, yep,
that's the plan.
Yep. Yeah, that was, and that's awesome to see, because that's one of the discussion points we hit on when we were talking about it. It's the point they made. Their hope was that it would open the door for solo players to be able to meet people to play with, which is really cool, and I'm pretty excited for it. I don't know if it's the end-all, be-all of what I want Team League to be still. I still have that pipe dream, but it seems like they're making a really good step. Multi, have you jumped in at all, or have you been just questing it up as well?
Just questing it up, and I mean, I considered it for sure because in part I wanted to get in there just to get a feel for it as well as TBK here. But no, I've with how these quests are lined up. I mean, I started actually with the white main at first, and the first one was healing. So it's like, if someone picks healer earlier than me in the draft, I won't be able to even do it, right? So no, I haven't done it yet. But no, I'm still thinking that when I do, I'm just going to jump straight into Team League. I now, especially after seeing these numbers and seeing that there has been an increase in popularity, apparently, that's cutting down on some of my worries about queue times and such, perhaps. And that's a question for you, TBK. How were the queue times as you were like solo or duo or group queuing? Did they seem pretty good?
Not bad. Yeah. Honestly, not bad at all. In fact, from what I've seen just from Reddit and from Twitter and such across the board, it seems like the queue times are actually faster in Team League than they are in Hero League right now.
Huh.
Because there's a lot more combinations the matchmaker can put together.
That is true.
And
more people, presumably, now.
Yeah.
Too, so
From what I've seen, my experience-wise, I have seen 4-1. I've seen 3-2. I saw 2-2 and 3 singles and 3 singles when I queued solo. And I have seen 5 stack versus 3-2.
Now, when you saw the 4-1, were you the 1 or were you the 4?
I was the 4.
Okay. What was it like working with the 1? Did they like genuinely clue into what you guys were doing?
They hopped in team chat with us.
Okay, and then you guys just ran it from there.
Just did our thing. Yeah.
So
I'm actually like 12-2 right now.
Yeah.
So it's been a good Team League season so far.
So has that been the case for the most part as far as voice comms? Like the solos, or if it's like a 3-1-1 or 4-1 stuff, everyone honestly, hopping into the comms? It's
from what I've seen, it's usually an all or nothing.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. Like everyone's in there or no one's in there. That's kind of what I've experienced.
I could maybe see that.
Yeah, I'm just wondering because the people that are grouped of 3 are obviously in their own comms. It's just are they wanting to hop over to the
exactly? It's more
chat?
Does the 3-man want to go to the party chat?
Yeah,
and if so, usually the 2-man will hop in.
Okay,
gotcha.
Cool. Well,
I still think it's a test.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think they're probably getting the results they were hoping to see.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be, especially since there's several more weeks of data before BlizzCon, I think it will be very interesting to see, or at least if there's any Q&A time, ask them what they're thinking and where their mindset is going into the 2019 season 1, where we could potentially see other big changes.
Agreed. All right, so we've talked about the good and the ranked, going in a good direction. Let's talk about potentially the bad here. So I saw this coming across Twitter as well, and I cracked up at it, so I'm glad you put it in here. This is a Reddit user by the name Kingdom9999 who hadn't played Heroes in a year, went through his placement matches, won 6, lost 4, straight to Masters. Crushed
but
it.
How? Isn't there a cap?
And this was a he had previously been like a Diamond or a Masters player.
Yeah.
So sure, but I thought you could only
there's
place...
the reasoning there. That's only new people.
Oh, good
only
point.
New people can place like Plat
3.
Yeah, I believe
as
something.
of now, yeah,
something like that. But yeah, it's really interesting because the big thing this season, especially for the Master Grandmaster, has been decay, right? But the problem is that decay doesn't kick in until you finish your placements, or until you finish like 15 games.
It also only kicks in for Master and Grandmaster, right? Am I mistaken in that one? I thought it was just at the top that they even experienced decay.
I believe it's those. It might be Diamond. I would have to look in front, but it is only the top end.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the lower end too. But I think examples like this really prove why we need some sort of decay even if you don't play.
Yeah, for all ranks. Because we've had the discussion before, like Smash and Swift coming back from Heroes from a really long time out and them placing super high after their placements. And they were like, I don't even know what the meta is right now.
Right,
So,
and they actually overplaced. Smash, again, original host of this show, talked about that at one point. It was a while ago now, but he was saying that like he placed super high, but then he got in the games, and I mean, he's a good player. I'm sure he still did fine, but like you were saying, he was actually not up on the meta, didn't even really know all of the new heroes at the time, and yeah, kind of struggled. He was overplaced, and then kind of actually, I wonder if that's kind of what got him, because he plays every now and then, but not really that consistently. I'm wondering if that experience of jumping in too far in the deep end, losing a bunch of games to kind of get down to where honestly he should be, maybe have scared him away a little bit. That's kind of a worry there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a very legitimate thing. And I think if you're going to implement it in one place, at the very least, even if you don't implement it in your active lower ranks, you need to implement it in your inactive, probably all ranks.
And you could scale
an
it. So right. So you could have the top end of the ladder, like Master, Grandmaster, decay more if they're inactive. And then you could have, as you scale down to, like, perhaps it would take a year to go from silver to bronze of pure inactivity, or longer, because you've scaled it down so much where they don't lose a lot, but they still lose some. That way, again, people who quit for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years come back, and I was platinum, now I'm placing low silver maybe, and I say, oh, okay, well, got to get back in the game and push my way up,
Agreed. Yeah, because as cool or a good feeling as it is to, come back from the game and get placed high, like it's not a good feeling to have to lose a bunch of games so that you can then play competitive games.
Right.
It's just, that's no fun. But maybe some more stuff BlizzCon. Maybe we'll hear some stuff on the ranked system at BlizzCon. Who knows? Let's go ahead and move on to the HGC. All right, TBK, we're getting close.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's super exciting. So first off, before we talk about the playoffs, one big announcement that came out this week. Heroes Hearth Esports finally announced their 5th player for BlizzCon officially, and it's going to be Homicidal Hots in the Flex row. Hami's played on a number of Open Division teams, and they felt that he had very good synergy with them, especially going into BlizzCon. So I guess I gotta say they're gonna have their work cut out for them. Like, sure. This is, like, we know Tempo Storm replaced Psalm with Vin, but that was quite a while ago. So he's had time to mesh. He's had time to get accustomed. But Arthelon's retirement has happened so late in the game that it is going to be an uphill climb for Heroes Hearth, I think, to really be on their game, their A game, and to synergize. And it is a shame that it happened right before BlizzCon.
It is, yeah. I mean, that's not the stage in which you want to start working on your synergies. I'm sure they're working their butts off right now, but yeah. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I trust the team. I know that they're a really strong team just in general. And I mean, I'm sure they picked this gentleman for a reason. If they think he's going to synergize with them well and have been impressed by his play, this is, again, kind of like we were talking about in the past, a potential for some new blood to really shake things up and honestly, long term at least, maybe push the org even further. But yeah, I'm kind of with you, TBK. I'm worried that, like, just the timing of it now has got to still hurt at least a little bit, just because, I mean, the World Championships are just around the corner, Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm still rooting for him.
Oh yeah,
I really hope they go far. I want to see them at least get out of the bracket round. I want to see them play at the BlizzCon stage, because there are some teams who will be eliminated before the BlizzCon stage, and so if they can get out of that, I think you can call that a win and get to play on the actual BlizzCon stage.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was a lot of the players' goal this year, was to get on the BlizzCon stage. So.
Yeah, and this is a team that at the beginning of the year came from Open Division through the Crucible.
Right.
And they're playing at BlizzCon now. Mm-hmm. That is absolutely insane. That alone is just super, super impressive.
Which is a good point. I mean, they're from the Open Division, so they would also know who the other stars of the Open Division are. I'm sure they've encountered this guy a couple times, and then they say, all right, well, here's a guy that really impresses in the Open Division, continues to impress. Let's see how he does,
Yeah, for sure. And so speaking of the playoffs, those did happen this weekend, and holy crap, I was able to watch several of them live. And close your ears if you haven't watched them yet or you don't want spoilers, because we're going to be talking a lot about BlizzCon upcoming stuff since all that stuff is set now. The European ones went about as expected up until the last match. Leftovers ended up beating Method, and then they went on to face Fnatic, who lost out on second seed by just a hair to Liquid. And so Fnatic was ready. They're ready to go. And Leftovers and this is another Crucible team. This is basically the Heroes Hearth on the EU side in a lot of ways. And the stories are very, very similar. They actually came out and beat Fnatic and stole that third seed, that third spot away from them. And so now we are actually going into BlizzCon with no Fnatic for the first time in years. It is absolutely insane. And what's even more insane is what happened on the NA side. Because on the NA side, it went about what could be expected. Endemic beat LFM. LFM put up a pretty decent fight, but Endemic beat them. And then Freedom beat Endemic. And then Freedom went up against Octalysis. And it's so funny how things have changed, because NA, the top teams, and there's even shout outs for this. Justing has been a huge driver of the NA meta in the pro scene, and kind of Octalysis in general going with, okay, screw the traditional meta. We're just going to play our own game. And that's where things like Zool tank, main tank came from, and stuff like that. People have been starting to adapt and copy those strategies from Octalysis. It's absolutely insane.
Just in NA or across all
just
the
in
other
NA
regions? Okay.
right now that I've seen. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens in BlizzCon. Unfortunately, Octalysis won the first two, but then Freedom came back with the reverse sweep and ended up ending Octalysis's run in an extremely close game 5. It was just nuts, like the whole series. And then the next day, Freedom went up against Tempo Storm. Tempo Storm won the first 2 games, and then Freedom came back and won the next 2 games. And so Freedom ended up, after a very tense game 5, ended up losing, but Freedom almost reverse swept twice in a row. And if you think about,
looked like they were going to in that last game too. For a little bit.
I was ready for it. Honestly, I was almost expecting it. It was insane, and I was thinking to myself, and I had even tweeted out at one point during the games, we could legitimately see our first BlizzCon with no Fnatic and no Tempo Storm.
Yeah, we were pretty close to it. And honestly,
Dang.
like, I mean, I wanted Tempo Storm to win just because of our bet, frankly, more than anything. And I did win, so congratulations to me. But no, when I was watching that series, I had to have been rooting for Team Freedom because the first two games, honestly, when Tempo Storm won, it was pretty convincing. And so I went into Game 3 thinking, all right, well, this is going to be one of those stories where, like, okay, there's a really cool reverse sweep, but then the team just loses to a better team. I was like, okay, that's going to be our story come this week. And wasn't. They played super well throughout all of these, honestly, and almost came back and reverse swept them. So, yeah. They're really trying to
intense.
They're really trying to get at Gizmo for that comment he made a few weeks back about that they're not fun to watch.
Yeah, they're boring to watch. I guess I'll take credit for their recent success.
They
must listen to the show.
They heard that and they were livid.
You're welcome. I just I'm just trying to spark that fire.
I think it works,
right.
man.
Yeah.
I think yeah, we should start like doing verse psychology on Heroes Hearth next. That's the answer. So TBK though, a real quick question: are you gonna actually like have your wife make the shirt with Brightwing, or are you gonna do the sign?
I totally think
because she's a good shirt maker.
If she has time, I'll see if I can get her to make me a Brightwing shirt.
Okay.
Because she did make me a custom Carbot Hero shirt the year before last.
The Uther.
Yeah.
Which was
cool.
the Uther Tygus Jane. Oh, it was so good. It turned out so well. I loved it.
She does the onesies for your kids and stuff, right?
Yeah. So
Those
if she's got time, I will wear a big old Carbot looking Brightwing on the shirt with a little speech bubble that says "You're a thing," or a little thing across the top that says "You're a thing."
Okay, soun's good.
I'm gonna see if I can make that happen.
Can I help free up time for her? Because like I could watch your kids. I'm really good at watching kids now. This is something I do.
So the real question is, what was it that Greg had to do?
I think I have to say Alliance sucks on Convert to Raid.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
on
right.
Twitter. Yeah.
On
We have
Twitter
to go back.
or
No,
on
it was on CTR. I think.
Yeah, it's on CTR.
On CTR, yes.
Yeah.
I'm very excited
I am too.
about that. Yep. So we now have all but one of our BlizzCon teams: Team Dignitas, Team Liquid, and Leftovers for the first, second, and third seed on the EU side. On the Korea side, we have Gen G Esports Tempest and a TBD third Korean seed, which we should find out soon. Heroes Hearth and Tempo Storm will now make up seed 1 and 2 for North America. Beyond the Game and the One are coming in first and second from China. Mind Freak from Australia and New Zealand, and Luna Meow, such a great name, from Taiwan. The HGC Finals group stage will be played at the Blizzard Arena Los Angeles starting October 25th. We'll split the field of 12 teams into 2 groups of 6, and each group will play for points in a round-robin 2-game series to determine playoff seeding. Winning both battlegrounds grants 3. Winning one will grant 1. And at the end of the group stage, the 5th and 6th place teams from both groups will be eliminated. So those are the teams we will not see on the BlizzCon stage. Group A is made up of Gen G, Beyond the Game, Team Liquid, Tempo Storm, the third Korean scene, and Luna Meow. And Group B is made up of Dignitas, Heroes Hearth, Tempest, The One, Leftovers, and Mind Freak. So if I had to call it, I would say both groups are honestly pretty even, but I would give slightly more weighting from a difficulty level to Group B.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not by much, though. Not by
A
much.
little bit.
By a little bit. And then BlizzCon proper, the HTC will again get its own stage at the convention center, where the final single elimination bracket will unfold live beginning November 2nd. The quarterfinals on day 1 will be a best of 3, following the opening ceremony with the best of 5 semifinals and grand finals on day 2 of BlizzCon, which again, I'm a little disappointed in the format. Like, I really hate to see any best of 3s
Right.
at
Just because
BlizzCon.
It's not the best showing. There's just not enough
It's
game
really
time.
no, it's really not. I'm glad that the semis and the grand finals are best of 5, In some ways, I'd like to see the grand finals almost being a best of 7.
You mean definitely a best of 7?
Yeah. But
no,
I wish all the games in the BlizzCon days were best of 5s.
Consider this: those two, the one reverse sweep and then the other almost reverse sweep that we saw out of Team Freedom, neither would have happened in a best of 3. The first 2 games would have just gone to the former team, and that would have been it.
Yeah, I know. There's just so much that can happen in a best of 5, and I think it showcases skill much more. I understand that, in all honesty, it probably is a timing thing.
Yeah.
There's just not enough time to get through everything. That's why BlizzCon needs to be 3 days.
It is a timing thing, but here we go. Do we need to have the round of 8 at BlizzCon? Could we just jump straight into the semifinals and finals and have them all be 5s and then a 7? I don't know the answer to that one. It might be less esports overall, and thus maybe not fill the Heroes Esports Hall as much.
That's probably the problem.
But games also, I mean, they lay out these schedules, but as we've seen in years past, there's times in which it just goes over and all that. So if they had less content to fill the stage time with and bigger blocks at the end, then they could do things like not schedule and I don't know if they do it this year. I'd have to look. The finals over when the band plays and all that stuff. I mean, there's stuff they could be doing here, and I just don't know.
That's hard because another reason, you want to keep as many teams as you can to play on the stage because people want to see their teams play on stage.
That's true too. Yeah. And we were just talking about how we want to at least see Heroes Hearth on the stage, so that's a fair point too.
Yeah. I would rather see more on the stage, but again, I feel like I would stay later or maybe throw one of the other sets on Saturday or just make BlizzCon 3 days.
Right.
I think that just fixes everything.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay, another question. Would you rather it stay like it is, or next year, the year after, or whatnot, switch around the schedule to where maybe there's a tournament at BlizzCon? Maybe they do it to where it's like the mid-season brawl at BlizzCon, and then having their worlds at different locations. Like one year have it at the Blizzard Arena,
like the week-long event.
Yeah, and then have like a week-long event for it, and then like the next year. So they just pretty much switch how they do the finals at BlizzCon now and the Clash midway through.
Maybe, but I don't know. I'm still a fan of actually having World Championship esports at BlizzCon.
It just kind of feels right.
It feels right, and Heroes is honestly one of the last few places that we get this now. Hearthstone moved away from it last year. We moved in this new cycle where the World's finals are, I believe, in late January of each year, and then it coincides with the actual cycling Hearthstone years and the release of sets and that kind of thing. So while I agree with the fact that they should have that tournament near the end of the final set of a particular year, I kind of wish that they had redone that to where the Hearthstone finals would actually be at BlizzCon, because this year we actually do have something. We have the Hearthstone Global Games happening, but last year there was nothing. There was the Hearthstone Invitational, 2 N's in that, so super clever, that I don't think was super popular even among the Hearthstone community. I didn't watch any of it, frankly, even though I like some of the streamers and players that were at it. It didn't have that.
It wasn't that big of
panache, it didn't have the excitement, and the World Finals of Heroes of the Storm has that excitement. So I don't want them to lose that at BlizzCon.
Yeah.
Especially when you also consider it's the Overwatch World Cup and not the OWL Finals, which to me would also be super hype. But I guess if you're gonna really hype up the Overwatch League Finals, you should bring in a particular DJ, Khaled, and give him another one and another one.
It's also, Overwatch is on that level to where they were able to fill the Barclays Center.
They don't necessarily.
Fine.
Yeah, they don't need it necessarily.
Not the Barclays Center. Is that right?
It's some big arena.
Center. Or was it Madison Square Garden?
No, let's ask Thorn and Fist. They were there.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a big arena, much bigger than anything at BlizzCon.
Right. I get that too, but you get my sentiment though, right? Of having the finals at BlizzCon.
Completely agree. So we'll see if if there's maybe another day added next year, maybe Jay will be like,
yes,
BlizzCon, 3 days. Let's do it next
there
year,
you go.
guys.
That's the kind of stuff he can say.
That's his keynote. You guys, 2 days cannot fill BlizzCon. We're doing 3 next year. And then the crowd goes wild, and everyone's just like, Jay, you're the best. Oh my gosh.
That's how you win over the community, right there.
That is true.
Jay. We're just saying.
Yeah, that would definitely be
and
nice
it's going to be something that he hasn't cleared with anyone. Like, he just says it, and then everyone at Blizzard is like,
he's the president now, so he can say whatever he wants.
Yeah. Right.
So on hand, of course, the following casters and commentators will be there for both the group stage and the main event. J-How, Gillyweed, Dreadnought, Caldor, Trixler, Skimmy, Wolf, and Tetcher, all coming up to cast all the games. Really solid group. I'm really excited to watch. I'm going to try and watch as many of the bracket round as I can the week before.
There's a name missing from there that I don't know why
there
he's
is
missing from there.
a certain redhead.
Yeah.
That we love, and it does make me sad that Claris is not going to be there.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm very sad because he's one of my favorite hosts.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I enjoy his casting too. So I am very, very sad that he's not gonna be on hand this year.
Indeed.
I'm sure they get the reasons though.
I'm sure they do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's playoffs. BlizzCon stage is pretty much set. Excited. We're only 4 weeks away. It's going to be big time. But this weekend for Heroes, there is going to be more big time. And this could potentially be the beginning of a new thing for 2 teams, or 4 teams, I guess, in this case, or the end of a good thing for 4 teams. The HGC Crucible is coming up. And the Heroes Esports site released a nice article with Mopsio, who is on Leftovers, and just kind of talking about the Crucible teams and what he thinks. Crucible, of course, is the top 2 teams in the Open Division playing the bottom 2 teams of each region in a best-of-7 series for a shot at joining the Premier League. And so Mopsio would know, Leftovers coming from the Crucible, it's a really big experience. So all the teams have been picked. Monkey Menagerie on the EU side is going to be playing E-Punks.
It's a mistake.
Yeah, you didn't get the Holy Bananas Monkey Menagerie. I know you wanted it so bad. But he thinks that Monkey Menagerie will barely eke out the win, but that it could be pretty close. And then Royal 20 Esports is going to be playing Holy Bananas. And in this, especially with Quacknix retiring, Mopsio doesn't actually think that Roll 20 is going to do that good, and he thinks E-Punks are going to come out on top, which...
You mean...
And I honestly don't know how this... Holy Bananas is going to come out on top, which is really interesting because I don't exactly know how this works. Like, is this going to knock Roll 20 out? Or did Roll 20 get the slot? I don't know what happens. I assume if you get crucibled, you're out.
Yeah.
Even as an organization.
I think.
Because as far as I'm aware, orgs acquired the slots for the most part in this new system. So technically, say a middle team, one that's not in the playoffs but not in the Crucible, could technically release all 5 players, get 5 new players, but still retain that org status. But I think if you were an org in the Crucible, you can actually be knocked out completely when a new team comes in. So this would be really unfortunate for Roll20, seeing as they just sponsored this team a few weeks ago, and now they have the potential to be knocked out completely. Just let's get back into Heroes, guys. And we picked the wrong one.
No. I would imagine that would open them. They would be able to sponsor another team, though. But
I'm
sure they have to go through talks.
If the team, would accept them.
Yeah.
And would it scare them away as an org? I don't know. Probably not.
Be really weird, though.
Yeah.
Be super weird. On the NA side, No Tomorrow will be playing Storm Gaming. And Storm Gaming. And again, he believes this is going to be a very close match, but he thinks No Tomorrow will come out on top. And then finally, Simplicity will be playing Scythe Esports. And he thinks that Simplicity has what it takes to stay in, and they will beat them handily. So I'm very interested to see if these predictions come through. I'm really hoping we see one team, at least one team from EU and NA swap.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, just for fun as well.
On the EU side, I would prefer if Monkey Menagerie stayed and then Holy Bananas made it through, because then I would be able to buy a Monkey Menagerie banner and a Holy Banana spray. And then every time I have a banner drop, I do my banana spray.
Yes.
I dig it. I'm holding you to that as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Also, someone sponsor Leftovers. Like, they're amazing.
Roll20, maybe, perhaps?
Someone, yeah. Roll20 loses this weekend, and then they go, hey, Leftovers, I see you're at BlizzCon.
How did Roll20 make the BlizzCon? Crazy story.
Yeah, that's one way to make BlizzCon.
That would be funny. They just got to roll the dice again. That's all.
Yeah.
It's a D20, so.
Why not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Crucible games will be starting this weekend. Saturday and Sunday are going to be the 2 times. And remember, these are best of 7s. So it'll be really interesting to see how it goes. I know I'm going to try and at least catch the NA side of things if I have the time.
Yeah.
Best of 7, huh? It's like it's a true test of skill. That's interesting. I like that idea.
Yep, me too.
Glad they went with it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It is time for all of us to be a thing.
Hero of the Week.
Brightwing Week got a rework a few weeks ago, and she feels pretty good. I like old Brightwing now. I've been playing her a lot, playing her for a lot of my white main quests, and she seems pretty good. So
yeah,
and it's a good rework. So we figured it's time to bring her back into the rotation here, and teach you all how to turn things into things.
It's kind of weird. Before we really get into it, well said. It is kind of weird that she got a rework to me. I mean, she's been a little out of the meta lately, it's true, but I've never really thought she was bad or anything. Like, even when they announced the rework, I was sitting there going, well, okay, sure. I mean, I'm excited to see changes come to her because I've always just liked playing the hero. She's been one of my main supports for some time, but I've never felt that like her kit was particularly. I mean, it was old for sure because she's been out for quite some time, and there've been some numbers tweaks and there've been some other things to it as well, but never anything like this, if I'm not mistaken. But still, I mean, it always felt like one of those kits that at least stood up. I mean, if nothing else, you've got the polymorph that really counters some heroes. You've got the global map presence with the phase shift and so many other things that like have always just made her this kind of standard mainstay. And so, I mean, I'm with you. I like the rework. I think it's good. We'll get into a build and everything, but I'm still a little weirded out that I still don't feel like she really needed one. I think some number tweaks on what she used to have would have gotten her back in the meta, but what do you think?
The thing for me is she's fun for me to play now.
She is more fun.
Yeah. I think they just saw an opportunity to make her more interesting. And they've been moving that way with a lot of supports lately. The making supports more skill-based, I guess, and have more potential if you play them well, more potential for playmaking ability in a lot of ways. And I think that's really what this rework was about.
Yeah.
So it's more a reaction maybe to the blanket nerf of supports than it is necessarily Brightwing herself. Maybe.
Yeah.
This could be the long game of, because they had said that they were doing that blanket nerf, but then they're going to start bringing them back. This is several months after that blanket nerf happened, but this is them bringing her back a little.
Tyrande reworks and stuff.
Right,
so.
right.
Real quick, we'll just go over her stuff here. Trait Soothing Mist is now different. It's activate to remove all stuns, root slows, and silence effects from nearby allied heroes. That is a 120-second cooldown. Then it also has, of course, the passive that heals allies for 100 every 4 seconds. Her healing stuff there. Arcane Flare on the Q. You shoot your flare, dealing 75 damage to enemies hit and an additional 105 to enemies in the center. If a hero is hit in the center, Soothing Mist passive healing instantly activates. Polymorph on her W, same old, same old. You polymorph the target for 1.5 seconds, slowing the movement speed by 25%, silencing them. Targets are not able to attack while polymorphed. And then Pixie Dust on the E. Increase target's movement speed by 20% and grant them 25 spell armor for 3 seconds, reducing spell damage taken by 25%. And then, of course, we still have the Blink Heal and the Emerald Wind for her ultimates.
Neither of which changed much with the rework. I mean, there was some stuff related to Emerald Wind, but yeah, which I found interesting too.
Mm-hmm. All right, so and I agree with this build 100%. This is what I've been running since I've been playing with her, so it'll be good. TBK, if you want to take our level 1 talent, what are we going with?
So a lot of the time, these days I go with Hyper Shift. This increases phase shift, and her Z actually got a decent buff on it because now it actually heals for a percentage of health when you arrive at the person, but Hypershift now increases that even more by an additional 10%, and nearby enemy minion deaths reduce phase shift's cooldown by 2 seconds. So this can allow you to have a much more global presence. It is definitely an oh crap button in a lot of ways. I mean, it still takes casting time to get over to the hero, so you have to recognize that someone is dying within a few seconds to still be able to get over to them and give them that heal. But the heal now, when you get to them, is substantial. Like, it's pretty big time. And then just while you're laning, you're passively reducing the cooldown of your next phase shift. So that's super strong. The other one that you may want to go on certain maps, especially maps that have a lot of mercenary camps, is Pixie Charm. And this is her new bribe. You activate to consume 20 stacks of bribe to instantly defeat the uncaptured mercenary, and you gain 1 stack of bribe. Now, instead of healing to get the bribe stacks, you actually gain a stack now whenever a nearby enemy minion dies, and 5 stacks when you hit an enemy hero with Arcane Flare's center.
Very true.
So,
I've got to give a really strong shout out to Greater Polymorph, though. Greater Polymorph is a new one where it increases Polymorph's range by 30%, and then hero takedowns refresh the cooldown of Polymorph. So we're not really covering the sheep build so much here, but I've tried it out, and I know I've seen in a couple of community places people posting the more sheepy approach here, and yeah, you can do really cool stuff with it. So it's obviously when you get a kill while they're polymorphed, you get it refreshed, or in general, like a takedown refreshes the polymorph, and in that way it becomes kind of a win more talent in the sense that you really only get that kind of value if you're getting picks and such. But again, without really diving into the wool here on this one, you can stage it all the way up to Criterize at 16, where you're reducing the target's armor. So a really focused team could do something like sheep the tank, blow him up with the reduced armor, sheep the next guy, blow him up with the reduced armor, rinse and repeat, like if you had a high bursty comp like that. So I don't know. I actually, and this is a testament to their design with this rework. All 3 of these have their place, I think.
Mm-hmm.
she actually has, and we're going over this one because I think from a healing standpoint, this is probably the most efficient way to heal more, but she has a lot of viable talents and a lot of viable builds. I've definitely gone just about everything from a talent perspective, depending on the scenario with this rework.
And you can mix and match them some too.
Yep.
Which is also a good mark of good design. But anyway, yeah.
right, level 4, we are going with Dream Shot. So this increases the range of Arcane Flare by 50%. Hitting a hero with Arcane Flare Center reduces its cooldown by 2 seconds. This is kind of the first talent for this build that rewards skillful play when it comes to your healing numbers, which this is not as easy to do as I had initially thought. It's pretty tough, so it's much easier whenever you're, if you have CC on your team to kind of line that stuff up. But it's a really fun ability. It's funny because before the show, when I was playing a game as Brightwing, for some reason I was solo laning against a Tassadar, neither here nor there. But this Tassadar would like to just stand still and channel his beam on me. Mm-hmm. So once I hit level 4, it was really fun to bait him out. And as soon as he started channeling on me, I could just spam Qs on him pretty much because he refused to move. And so once I got that healing plus the cooldown reduction, that was a dead Tassadar because he couldn't get away because of Polymorph.
It's quite the reduction, too. So it says it's 2 seconds, not by 2 seconds. So you go from a 6-second cooldown to 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how you're spamming it on someone.
And
like
remember, because of the rework, you are pulsing a heal every time you hit a hero in the center as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, with the rework, they sped up the missile speed of your Arcane Flare as well. So it is a little easier to hit than it was pre-rework.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is great in team fights, especially if the enemy comp is either melee heavy or large bodies, because it makes it that much easier to hit, and it's a lot of healing. And
you've got the
decent
extra
amount of
range on it,
damage,
too.
Yeah.
More chances to hit.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Let's go to level 7, Multi.
Level 7, we're going to be going with Sticky Flare, actually. So Sticky Flare, enemies hit by Arcane Flare have their movement speed slowed by 20% for 3 seconds and increase the slow to 40% if hit by the center portion. So yeah, we were just talking about how you can kind of reduce the cooldown quite a bit if you're landing those center shots on the Q to begin with. And if you're building that even further to add 40% is pretty substantial. And 3 seconds is a pretty long time, too.
Wow.
So you're honestly building in a lot more CC to a character that actually already has pretty good CC. I mean, the polymorph itself is this really good kind of hard CC that you can put on someone instantly as a clickable. And so, yeah, this plus that starting to make sense. I will, of course, still shout out Peekaboo. I'm a big fan still. That's where when you phase shift to an ally, you grant both Brightwing and the target a 335-point shield and reveals the area around them for 5 seconds. I'm not in it as much for the reveal most of the time, except that I am in it to shift between lanes and give a little bit of extra. Because, you get the heal from the shift now, but to put a shield on them, then get in the fight and start pulsing and maybe cleanse them with your, new passive trait activatable and that kind of thing. You can just really do a lot to change a fight around. So as an example, I liked Peekaboo a lot on this game that I had for Dragonshire because I was constantly I think that game I was mid and I was maybe walking down to help down bottom, but then phase shifting up to help top and really, really changing those fights around. So I think both are good. I think the critical mist is weird, though. I don't think we need to shout that one out.
The thing I like about Sticky Flare is it rewards you for hitting a target early on in the fight because not only is it that 40% slow, it is now easier to hit them with repeated Qs. So you're getting all the more healing out while slowing a target and making it easy for your team to kill them. So that is the reason I really like that. The Peekaboo, I've tried. I wasn't a huge fan of it, except in certain situations because, I can still shift up there and with the healing that's been added onto it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you take hyper shift at 1 though, which we have, you really can shift a lot more than you used to. Mm-hmm. At least with this cooldown reduction with minion deaths, So
yep,
it's just a thought.
And it's still the popular opinion on Heroes Hearth, so
But not by a ton. It's a pretty good split.
Level 10, TBK.
So level 10, Emerald Wind had been the go-to for quite a while, but it definitely has utility, but a lot of it was that you got a passive healing improvement when you took Emerald Wind. They took that off when they did the rework. And so now, especially, Blink Heal has become the much more popular choice. And especially as a main healer, I really look forward to 10 when I can have that Blink Heal, because holy crap. I mean, it stores 2 charges. It's not an insane heal, but it's a decent heal. But it actually gives you so much more mobility, because remember, you can't mount up. And so if you're wanting movement speed, you've got to burn your pixie dust for the speed boost. Yeah. And that's not necessarily something you want to be doing unless you're super far away and it'll be up and ready to be used on somebody else by the time you get back. But Blink Heal has got a pretty decent range. It can really help people out a lot, and it can really get you out of tight situations.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a fun one. 13 here. I think is kind of situational but in most situations, what you'll want to do is go with Pixie Power, which reduces the cooldown of Pixie Dust by 3 seconds and increases the spell armor granted by 25. Obviously, if you're going up against a team that doesn't have a mage, if it's like a Tracer, Artanis, whatever, then you can go, one of the other options. We have Pixie.
Even then, it's still good cooldown reduction.
It is good for the cooldown reduction, for sure. But you also have a Pixie Boost, where Pixie Dust gives 50% bonus movement speed, which decays over 20% over 1.5 seconds. And then Safety Dust, which increases Pixie Dust duration by 1 second. Brightwing heals allies with an active Pixie Dust for 25% more.
I do actually like Safety Dust a lot, especially because now that she has all these other ways to pulse healing onto the target, in terms of like landing the Qs, and of course you still have Blink Heal and stuff. I like it a lot because you can do things like you can just throw the Safety Dust on maybe even the tank, just to give them a little extra padding while you're actually spending your Blink Heals on a carry that's taking damage or something. I mean, there's stuff you can do there. But yeah, I mean, go ahead.
I would almost say there's never a bad reason for Pixie Power, though, because there's literally only one fully auto attack hero in the game, and that is Samuro.
Yeah.
And even then, only if he doesn't take his ult. Because if he takes his ult, that's ability power too. So we're talking 50% ability power damage reduction for 3 seconds. Now on a 7-second cooldown.
Mm-hmm.
This is gigantic.
Yeah,
this is absolutely huge for just throwing it on whoever is taking damage, and your chances are you will mitigate 50% of the bulk of it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And again, I mean, even if you don't, it's pretty good cooldown reduction. I mean, it's 3 seconds off of what's 10, so...
Because it gives them movement speed, too.
Yeah.
Right.
Someone needs a little boost to chase down. A lot of times I've found the person who's one of the DPS is chasing after a good fight, or we're trying to run somebody down, throw Pixie Dust on them to help catch them up, and then you just blink to them. And boom, now you're caught up, and now you're in range of Polymorph.
I have to quote Peppy Hare from Star Fox 64 here and saying, use the boost to chase.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's very good advice in this situation.
Question.
Thanks, Pepe.
Do a barrel roll.
Of something I have never noticed or tried that I can think of. Does Pixie Dust affect people that are mounted? Movement speed-wise?
I don't think it does movement, but it gives the effect. No, I've never seen anyone get hit by one and their mount go crazy fast before, so I don't think so. But, I mean, it would give them the defensives.
Yeah. All right, multi-level 16. What are we looking at?
16, we are looking at what's honestly a really exciting one here. Totally new one called Hush, which is enemy heroes hit by the center of an arcane flare are silenced for 1 second and deal 25% less damage for 3 seconds, which is kind of interesting. Would you see that? So, I mean, there's a lot of heroes where if they're silenced for one of those seconds, then it's almost like the damage reduction in that second is wasted. Like if it's a caster, if you land this on a Jaina, you don't care if she lands an auto attack in that moment anyway, right? In that 1 second. So, but obviously it would have a greater impact in some senses on someone like an Illidan who's just dashed in and tried to land a bunch of attacks off on you. You'd silence him to where he can't get his defensives up, and you could also reduce the damage that he's doing in his auto attacks against you. And also, Brightwing's always been good against Illidan because you can just sheep him while he's trying to do something defensive or escape and just kill him. So just a thought there. I like it because it's honestly just additional CC. In fact, it's adding a new form of CC this late in the game. Kind of. I mean, the polymorph is a silence in its own right, for sure. But this is a different silence. So you can do things like land a couple of these good ones, which, by the way, if you've been following our build and took Sticky Flare at 7, you're now reducing it to... Oh, no, it wasn't Sticky Flare. It was Dream Shot at 4.
Yes.
We're reducing the cooldown to 2 seconds. We're getting some extra slow in, and we're silencing them and making them deal less damage in all this time. It's a skill shot. You have to land these things, but it's Brightwing's new shrink ray effect and the damage reduction, plus an extra silence that you could then chain with your Critterize, or I mean, you can't take Critterize if you go this build, but you could chain with your sheep and then keep going from there. So I'm a big fan. This is the talent that does have Critterize, the talent tier, which is that deal where when polymorph, the armor is reduced by 25, which just always has its place too. I found that if you take that, a good tip is to let your team know, even if you're in quick match, just to be like, hey, I took the armor reduction, kill the sheeps. And that actually gets people focused to say, like, all right, well, I'll go for the sheep target when it's up. And I've found some success there. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, it's good stuff.
I love this talent. So,
Hush?
at this point, the amount of disables Brightwing has now is kind of a little ridiculous.
It really is.
It kind of is.
Especially if you're hitting your skill shots. So, like, you would think with, like, going Q build and stuff, to get the most out of your build, this would be awful against high mobility heroes like Tracer, Genji, Illidan, all those. No, it is not. Tracer, if she comes in, you polymorph her. If anyone else on your team stuns her, immediately sets you up for a Q, which now at this point, not only did you just heal your team, you have a 2-second Q cooldown. She's slowed by 40%. She can also not blink away now. Like, she is just sitting there.
And she's doing less damage.
Yeah, and she's...
After she pops out.
So, not that you would really probably need to hit her with the second Q after the 2 seconds. She's probably going to die anyways. You can absolutely do that just to rub it in. Like, when she's... Just throw it on her body. Throw it on her corpse. Or, if the team has a Genji, then you could just switch over to the Genji and ruin his day as well. So, yeah, she's a bully at this point in the game. Like, there's just nothing you can do against her.
Well, and we haven't talked about it a ton, but Emerald Wind can add to that bullying.
Yeah.
To have what's one of the biggest displacement just pushbacks in the game. I mean, it doesn't fit our build here exactly, and I still agree with most people taking Blink Heal. But, yeah, I mean, to your point there about her having a lot of just different types of lockdowns and bullying features, that's another one.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I love Hush.
Yeah, it's cool.
TBK, level 20.
Level 20. And this is a new one. And this is what I go pretty much 100% of the time.
Yeah,
Invisible friends. So this is so cool. Blink Heal grants stealth to Brightwing. If Blink Heal is cast on a hero, they are also granted stealth. So this is Brightwing stealth plus hero stealth. And while stealth by invisible friends, heroes heal for 20 health per second and are unrevealable for the first 0.5 seconds. And if they remain stationary for at least a second and a half while stealth, it grants invisible, just like the stealth characters.
Do regular stealth, yeah.
So this is absolutely insane, especially if you're playing against a hero with no like skill shots or no AoE, because it drives them crazy. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna kill you. And you literally can't hit them anymore
because it throws them off.
It throws them off horribly. Yeah, it is absolutely insane.
And you're becoming invisible yourself, so if you dashed in with the blink heal, which is often something you have to really watch, like you have to consider the angle you're approaching and make sure you're still behind who you're blinking to and all that. But this kind of throws that out the window. I mean, if you want to block a full Chromie combo, for instance, after they reset you, why not?
I love to use it for, okay, you hit level 20, like next objective is popping up. You just, two of your frontline people, make them stealth, and then you can go and set up for a gank, like invisible gank bush, at the start of the next objective, which feels good too. So
yeah,
it's a fun ability.
Technically, like blink heal's not a long cooldown. You could technically, if you were level 20 and you were wanting to do something crazy, you could blink heal, stealth. The three of you stealth, and you got to wait long enough for the 2 charges to come back, then stealth. You're going to get your entire team stealth. You could all be super sneaky.
Just do, form a circle. Do that, and then form a circle with your
friendship?
team. Yeah, circle of friendship. It's an invisible circle, and then just wait for somebody to walk in the middle of you. Be like, surprise.
Yeah,
Dead.
I like it.
It's a fun talent. It's amazing. I love it.
But yeah, Brightwing, super, super fun now. If you guys haven't checked her out just because you weren't like a fan of her previously for whatever reason, I didn't love her. Polymorph was always fun and stuff, but she really is fun now and feels really impactful with the amount of disruption that she has. So definitely give her a shot.
Question for you guys though: Fairy Protector at 20, does it apply the talented version of Pixie Dust All Nearby Heroes? I assume so.
I believe it does. Usually, if something applies an untalented version, it will say
it says so. Yeah, that's what I thought too. So I mean, that one's also not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It's true.
Do we want to run through any quick tips or
practice your cues?
Forever, so
yes,
practice your cues.
Get used to the new missile speed too.
Yeah, because, and again, this is to your point. I think another one of the reasons why they reworked her. It's just they're trying to make their supports more skillful, and her new kit very much rewards skill if you can hit those cues, hit those people in the center, especially with this build, because you're getting so much more for each center hit. So practice those. Hold your Q until you polymorph. So get your polymorph off first, slow them down, then hit your Q. After level 7, then they're slowed even more. You've got the reset, and then you can just keep it.
Well, but that's where it gets awkward. Is you in that situation, yeah, it could be wise to hold the Q. But if you're just landing, sometimes you want to just be landing the Qs for the healing. Which is what I love about it. It's again, I've mentioned before, it's got that Malfurion feel and kind of White Mane in the sense too of like you're doing damage to increase your healing, and that's just a good design direction for these supports. It just makes you feel more active, and you're heal botting in a sense because you're in some cases doing those to get heals off. But again, we talked through this build now. You can see that you could be doing a lot more than just healing with those Qs with like Sticky Flare, Dream Shot, etc. So it's just I'm coming around on the fact that this is just a fun change for her for sure.
Indeed.
Loving it. By the way, before we move on, got a shout out. The first time we covered Brightwing was on episode 8, titled "You're a Thing," which came out on April 17th, 2015.
Was that the had we touched her since?
In passing, but I don't think we've ever had another. Because again, this is one of the first major reworks of her, so I don't think we've had another full hashing of her build or anything this whole time.
It has been a long time since she has gotten much.
Yeah,
they added the passive healing to the Emerald Wind, and that was one of the biggest changes that happened. Polymorph has been tweaked back and forth several times, and actually it's at one of its longest times, a second and a half, that it's ever been now.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, it's been quite a while since she's really gotten any huge changes other than just some numbers adjustments. She definitely had one of the oldest or one of the older kits in the whole game.
For sure. And if you've been wondering this whole time why we keep saying you're a thing, that actually goes all the way back to 2015, where TBK, anytime you'd play her, and this was like early on, this is before we even started the show, I think, when we'd have these like Zord lands, and every time you polymorph someone, you'd be like, all right, you're a thing. He's a thing. Go for it.
Kill
Because,
kill the thing.
it's true because you polymorph into different things, so I get it. But anyway, that's the backstory for you folks if you happen to see TBK at BlizzCon in a shirt that says you're a thing. Now you get it, at least. Yeah.
The one last thing I want to say, it's not really a tip or anything, but more along the lines of, again, just kind of their change in direction here, that it seems they're going for supports, but for sure Brightwing. The thing I like about it is by rewarding people for skillful play and support, this opens up the door not only to really highlight support players in the HGC, because there's will be a difference in numbers by the end of the game based on how well they're playing. This also enables support mains to better climb the ladder solo, whether that be in
very
team
true.
league
Yeah,
or
for
solo
sure.
league now. Because that's
For
been
sure.
that's
Probably-
been a huge thing. If you looked at the Grandmaster boards, it was like there were very, very few support players on there. So
And you
this
could really
gives you a
probably do
chance.
that as Brightwing now. I could see someone maining Brightwing and just being like, guys, I got this, and crushing out every game.
Well, and not only that, Brightwing is actually a little low in win rate still. So we could potentially even see some small buffs.
Maybe.
Usually the balance patch will most likely be next week, because it's usually an every other week Wednesday balance patch, and so we very well could see some slight Brightwing buffs, because she is still just a little bit lower. One of the reasons we're not doing Kerrigan is because she's probably going to get nerfed into the ground on Wednesday, because she's almost at 60% right now.
Wait, who?
We're banning her, Kerrigan.
Yep.
We're banning her in like every team league game I play. She is nutso right now. So I highly expect we are going to see some at least moderate nerfs on her. And so we're gonna wait for that before we cover her again.
I've been in some quick match games against her, right? And if it's a quick match where you've queued long enough that you don't have a tank, so like there's a support on either side but no tank, and she's on one of the sides, she's a decent tank in those situations, and huge damage.
I mean, what like
She's literally a tank right now.
Yeah.
Her
a tank, and you
assimilation shields are insane.
and you can clear waves by spending no mana.
Right.
I love her though; she's the best. Anyways, let's move on here. TBK, what do you have for community content this week?
Some really cool stuff, actually. And let me link this in the chat. So the first one is a very cool skin for Ana, and it is kind of a Halloween theme. So that's kind of what I wanted to showcase it. It is Plague Doctor Ana, and it's really, really cool skin. It's got like the old-timey wooden, more musket type feel to it with the little
mask.
bird mask. Yeah, crow mask.
Right. The Plague Doctor mask.
Yeah. It looks really, really cool.
It is cool. And looking
I
at
would
this
totally,
guy's,
I would totally get that.
looking at this guy's Twitter, he does a lot of stuff like this. Antonio Demonico has all kinds of like other skin concepts, and I'm not seeing anything on here that isn't awesome. So
Yeah.
good on you.
I love skin concepts, and of course this will be in the show notes. But if you go back, especially last week, and look at the show notes on lordsofthestorm.libsyn.com, we had two amazing skins last week: the Stukov one and the Tychus one. Oh, man, we've been getting some really, really sweet skin concepts from people lately. Secondly, and you may recognize this at least somewhat from several weeks back, I finally released the official Hearthstone map. My Hearthstone map concept, kind of based on what we talked about several weeks ago in its full form with full rules, strategy, and everything. That's over on Heroes Hearth if you want to go take a look at that. It was really fun to make, and it was really fun trying to marry kind of a little bit of the randomness and the Hearthstone feel with a standard Heroes map or so.
Yeah. It's good to see for sure. You might change your image at the top, though, because it hasn't been Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft for like a year and a half. Just throwing that out there. Straight up Hearthstone now. That's all.
Multi, did you ever?
I know I'm nitpicking.
Did you ever do your?
Not yet. So I just haven't had time, frankly. TBK and I've talked about it quite a bit since that episode, and I just still haven't been able to crush it out. But I still intend to. I don't see why not, for sure.
You should.
I also think, I've got some similar ideas, but for the Innkeeper himself, that is, if we don't see him announced at BlizzCon, which we're totally going to. But
it's really interesting because there's really not a lot of map concepts coming out from the community right now, which is interesting.
Dipping my toes into it, it's a little tougher to do because as we saw in that episode where you and I were bouncing these ideas off each other, often there's something that you just didn't even think about, or like some other little hole in the logic that then people can look at this and kind of pick apart. I'm not seeing a lot here. I think this is a pretty solid build that you got here, but yeah, it is a difficult thing to do, which honestly, like, it's a good exercise to get in anyway, because it gets you in the mindset of what the Heroes team, the map developers, actually have to be going through all the time, you know? Like,
oh, sure.
I want to realize this world, but how do I do it in a way that actually works in the game and yet keeps so much of the flavor of Hearthstone or something else? Yeah, it's got to be real tough.
And that's the thing. It's very easy to come up with cool ideas. It's harder to come up with cool ideas that'll actually work and be balanced. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there's a lot of that to an extent with the Heroes development as well.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I would love to kind of hear some of the crazy stuff that would be super fun, but is broken beyond all belief, or just they put it in and it's just like, that actually is not good. It's not fun at all.
I mean, if you're trying to nail the Deathwing fantasy, you would literally have his ultimate just be destroy the entire map and win.
Cataclysm.
He just lands on the enemy core and crushes it, and the game is over. But it's a little imbalanced.
It's a countdown. Oh. You take the ult, and you have to end the game by 20 minutes, or you can channel your ult and just
kill
win.
him. Oh, that's actually kind of fun. I don't know.
But you know how much pressure that would put on people?
To do that, though, Deathwing himself, the rest of the kit would have to be terrible. Just like you'd have to pay for it the whole rest of the game to have that timer. But that's a fun idea. I don't know.
I was thinking about that the other day. I was just like, that'd be hilarious just to have like as soon as you hit level 10, this big like molten timer appears on top of the screen, and it's just like, you guys better win in 20 minutes or you're dead. That would probably be that's one of those things that it's super funny on paper, but would be absolutely horrible.
It would be really frustrating because you would have just like these delay comps that are just unkillable.
It's like, Deathwing better grab all the specialists.
Yeah.
What if wait? What if there's a level 20 increase to one of his abilities, one of his ultimates maybe, that allows you to do that, but at 20, maybe it's got like a 5-minute charge time on it. So you're already late game and you're charging it up late game. And so you're putting them on the timer, but it's already super late game. Maybe there's something there.
I thought that'd be kind of funny.
I like it.
And then finally,
I'm trying to make it work, DBK.
I know. I appreciate you. And then finally, and this was super, super interesting. And this is a hero that I play occasionally, but I've never played quite like this. And this is a guide on how to play Ragnaros by a master Ragnaros player. And he actually advocates using the E build, which is not a build that I am super familiar with or even go very often, but he makes a very interesting, educated case on how and why the E build is good. It lays out a bunch of synergistic comps, the best maps for Ragnaros, and kind of how to play him. And this actually makes me super, super hyped to try him again. And if we play an after show game, I'm going to play Ragnaros because this looks really, really interesting, and I want to try it because Ragnaros is from a flavor and from a kit standpoint, one of my favorite heroes to play. And and even the guide says it, he is not a good solo laner in a lot of ways with the Q and the W build. He will actually lose out to most people. And so I actually read this through earlier today. If you're a Ragnaros player or if you like Ragnaros, I highly recommend you checking this out because very good guide.
Well, and this guy has a 67% win rate with Ragnaros over 258 games in Hero League.
It's pretty big.
Pretty big. And this further proves something we've talked about a few times on the show, that you really can take a hero and just like love them and totally own it. Totally learn like their all their little secrets, as well as your exact, limits on the character. How deep can I go? When am I about to die? When do I have to run? If you get that kind of stuff down, you can get results like this with, I'm not going to say anyone, definitely not anyone, but a lot of heroes that you wouldn't expect. And this, when I read something like this, I start thinking along those lines of, here's someone that really just loves Rag and is making it work,
Yeah.
So, it's cool.
And I think that I would say maybe not all, but most for sure. You can definitely do that.
Definitely not all. Yeah.
Which is a really good, as much as people complain about balancing and like stale metas at some points, it's a really good sign for the balancing of this game that you can do that. Would we like to see more heroes and stuff in HGC and stuff? Yeah, sure, but hey, we'll get there.
And if Octalysis has his way, boy, will we. Oh my gosh, we saw a lot of heroes that we don't normally see that. We saw some Tassadar, saw some Sonya. Like it's been a while for some of those. We saw a Kerrigan in HGC in the playoffs this last weekend, and this is pre-rework Kerrigan.
Right.
This is not the rework and on Infernal Shrines, and she just killed it. Yeah.
Of course.
Infernal Shrines. Yeah, it's fun. I am all about the Octalysis meta.
Didn't Tempo Storm do, correct me if I'm wrong here, but Tassadar and Illidan in the final game of the finals? I think so.
I know they played some Illidan.
Yeah.
They definitely played some Illidan, and they did play Tassadar. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of crazy. I like it, though.
All right. That, I'm about to sneeze. I'm going to hold it in. Okay. That is going to do it for this week's episode. That was a close one. Before we get out of here, though, Multi, why don't you let people know where we can be reached?
First off, I have to say, TBK, you told us this might be a short one. Ha-ha! Good call. It wasn't. Anyway, you can find us several places on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and Patreon, all at Lords of the Storm. And again, to those considering the Patreon, thank you so much. Those of you who have given in the past, thank you. Perhaps even more, but no, we'll keep you all even here. You can find us in-game by typing /join space LOTS or on our Discord, bit.ly/lotsdiscord. You can email us with feedback or questions, lordsofthestorm@outlook.com. And if you have the time to leave us a review, we really appreciate those. iTunes, honestly, more than any other source, but any other source, too. We will appreciate those and appreciate genuine feedback, as well as getting our... Essentially, it makes us more visible on these different networks as well. So helps out the show even, just to put something down there. So thank you guys.
Yeah, you can also find us individually, myself on Twitter, Twitch at GizmoZord, as well as on Convert to Raid presents the BattleNet News, which as of last night is back. Pat is moved to California. He's at least got his studio set up enough to do a show. I was really sad I couldn't do it last night, but hopefully soon I'll be back on that show. So looking forward to that. Multi, where can you be reached?
I hope you're back on the show soon, too, so that you can tell them about how much... Well, you know. I am on Twitter at Multizord. I'm also on another show called Hearth Casual, which is a show about Hearthstone with Ro from Realm Maintenance. And so this is the off week. But last week, if you didn't get a chance to check it out, we did dive into the blog post that was going on that kind of lit the Hearthstone community on fire a little bit about tournament mode and all that. And I was surprisingly optimistic about the whole thing. It's not always my my go-to, but I'm optimistic. So check that out for sure.
And TBK?
You can find me on Twitter at TBKZord, and of course on Heroes Hearth, where you can find my interviews, articles, map concepts, of which I have another one brewing, just
That's
because I can't stay away.
What universe?
Tell me it's rock and roll racing.
It's actually not universe specific.
Is it Nexus specific?
It's Nexus specific.
That's cool.
It's a Nexus map. So
Stormwind?
I'm pretty excited. Well, I mean, I already did a Stormwind.
A Stormwind, but
Stormwind
Neo
map.
Stormwind.
I mean, you could basically make the Stormwind Assault map Neo Stormwind if you wanted to. You just reskin it.
Good point.
Be pretty easy. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I might have it out before BlizzCon. We'll see. The map. I mean, and like you said, the map concepts actually do take a while. They take some time. So I do a lot of feedback, a lot of checking before I put those out. But I'm pretty excited about this one, so it should be good. And also, we do have a new iTunes review from Darkus. It's titled A Logical Decision. Great podcast for both information and lulz.
Logical decisions.
So thank you, Darkus. We appreciate you.
Yeah. All right. That is going to do it. We are going to get out of here. We want to give a special thanks to our patron producer, Ouroboros Zord, for helping support the show, as well as Wicked Kitten, our mod and chat, keeping things clean. And thanks to you all for listening to the Heroes of the Storm podcast out there. Until next time, hop on the Nexus, turn things into things. We will see you all same time, same place next week, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Central. Have a good one, everyone.
Enough. I shall do no more.